So you're playing Genshin, you're preparing for Genshin 5.1, and you're looking to do some pulls, and you are going to try and get Uraku, which is Chiori's signature weapon. And in this video, we're going to talk about the signature weapon and talk about the team that I've been using it in, which is a very, very niche HyperBloom team with Chiori and Alhaitham. So Uraku is actually not on Chiori currently. It is actually on Alhaitham. And I will be replacing it with either another one of her signatures or Xylanen's signature, whichever one I get on the next banner. So before we get into the team that I am using this on Alhaitham for, with Chiori and Alhaitham being in the same team, yes, a Geo and a Dendro character in the same team, before Xylanen's release, let's look at what the weapon does. So Uraku does get up crit damage, 88.2%, which is crazy high. It does have a base attack of 542, so it's great for characters that don't care about the base attack, like Chiori, who wants defense, or Alhaitham, who wants elemental mastery. Now, this passive, normal attack damage is increased by 16%. Cool, awesome. Elemental skill damage is increased by 24%. So this is really, really good for Chiori because of that elemental skill damage. Also really good for Alhaitham because of the elemental skill damage. After a nearby active character deals geo damage, the aforementioned effect will essentially be doubled. It will go up by 100%, so it'll be 32% and 48%. Now, this does not say that your character has to be a geo character. It just says that when a nearby active character does geo damage, it'll increase it for 15 seconds. Also increases defense. Chiori loves that. Alhaitham doesn't care about that. So what this essentially is doing is I can do damage with an on-field geo character like Chiori, trigger the passive of this weapon for 15 seconds, and then let Alhaitham just do a ton of damage through his skill, right? So this is really, really good for Alhaitham. This is a very, very niche QuickBloom team with Alhaitham. And in this team, it is Chiori, Alhaitham, Kuki Shinobu, and Furina. Specifically Furina for a QuickBloom team. If we had a different Hydro character, one that applied more Hydro, then it would be a HyperBloom team. That's not what we want. We want to specifically have slower Hydro for the Quicken Aura so Alhaitham can do more damage. Now, the way that this team essentially works is that we are using Furina and Kuki to consistently and reliably trigger 4-piece Marshmallow Hunter on Alhaitham. So his crit split is 42.3 over 251. With the Marshmallow Hunter triggering, it is actually going to be 78.3 over 251.7. And we're using Kuki and Furina to consistently, constantly, reliably trigger the 4-piece Marshmallow set. Now, this team is disregarding Furina's fanfare points. So in this team, you could actually use probably Xylanen instead of Chiori. However, Chiori is my second favorite character, and I'm going to use Chiori whenever I feel like using Chiori. And this team is a great one because Kuki Shinobu is also one of my favorite characters. So I get to use at least 2 of them together in a team together. It's great. Now, during this next banner, I am going to be trying to pull, like I said, a second one of Uraku or Xylanen's signature to give to Chiori. Chiori's signature Uraku is going to increase Chiori's personal off-field damage. Xylanen's signature is going to buff the team, right? So either way, it's going to be really, really good. Xylanen's signature might actually be Chiori's best in slot for a support Chiori, which will be very, very interesting to see if that does pan out. Now, this team has a lot of damage going around, right? We have Furina's minions doing damage. We have Furina's giving some fanfare. Kuki's not going to help build the fanfare much, but it's just a little bit, right? It's still a little bit of a buff. This team does kind of ignore the fanfare, whereas Xylanen would not ignore the fanfare like Chiori does. Chiori is going to be doing a ton of off-field geo damage, right? And then we could also use her quick slot, her quick swap E to just go straight into Alhaitham so that we're not losing any time of the extra buff on Uraku. Kuki Shinobu is going to be healing our on-field character being Alhaitham, so that way the healing will continuously be going up and down, triggering Marshmallow Hunter for its. Kuki is also going to be hitting the enemy with Electro, allowing Alhaitham to get Quicken reactions, right? We want our Hydro to be slower, so that way Alhaitham can get Quicken reactions. Then whenever our lovely off-field Hydro minions hits the enemy, it creates a bloom. And then whenever Kuki's skill pulses out, it will Hyper Bloom. It will also re-instigate the Quicken Aura, so that way Alhaitham can get spread reactions immediately again. So it's a very, very synergetic team. It also works out really, really well with everybody's cooldowns on their skills. Works very, very well to kind of have like a permanent uptime of doing this rotation. Now, this is a team that we kind of concocted in the Discord server. Zucchini, which is one of the most knowledgeable people on this game, who's in my Discord server, was talking to me about it, and I actually did it, and I'm loving it. It's becoming one of my favorite teams. So this video is actually much less about Uraku, much more about niche QuickBloom teams, right? Now, if we didn't have Alhaitham, we could try this team with Kaching. And since we're having a different Electro character, we would have to have a different Dendro character, right? And Baiju would be the best for this, and we would actually be able to get a lot of fanfare points with Farina, Baiju, Chiori, and Kaching. However, I don't have Baiju's the only Dendro character I don't have. So we are going to put Prototype Amber on Nahida to get a little bit of healing through her burst. To kind of try to keep the HP fluctuating, it's going to be much harder without a character like Baiju. But you can try this with her. She's not going to take as much use from Uraku because it increases normal attacks less than skill, right? A lot of Alhaitham's damage comes to his skill. With Kaching, a lot of her damage comes to her normal attack. So it can still apply, but it's not going to be as big of an application as it would be for Alhaitham. Like I said, this team is much harder to do without Baiju. I tried to do it with Nahida a couple times, and while it was decently okay successful-ish, it's much easier to do if you have Baiju instead of Nahida. It's much easier to keep everybody healed and to keep that fluctuation going with Marshmallow Hunter on Kaching. But like I said, this is becoming one of my favorite teams, and I've been wanting to make a video about it for some time now. And with the next weapon banner having one of the weapons that I'm going for, no better time than the present to talk about this. Now, in case you are curious, I do love running niche teams. I was one of the people that pulled for Emily because she used Burning before people realized that she was actually very strong. I run a hyper carry Dia team or an on-field damage Dia team a lot of the times too, so that's much more niche. You know, I've got C5 R1 Dia. I run Bountiful Core. I love the more niche teams that have to have very specific characters to make them work. So that's just this kind of fits right into my wheelhouse running this team. So that is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, do be sure to leave it down in the comments, myself or someone to start answering, and I'll see you in the next one.